Good evening and welcome to the very first show of Business Beat, right here on Cape Town TV, the business show that marches to its own beat. I'm your host, Vuyisa Qabaka. Over the course of the next few weeks, we'll be profiling some of Cape Town's most exciting young entrepreneurs and small businesses, and going through their success stories as well as how their business has made a difference in their lives. And along the way, you too will get to learn how to start your own business and change your own life. And this evening, we are talking about the creative industries, and we are joined in studio by Loyiso Mkhize. Loyiso, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Loyiso is from Eastern Cape, Egcuwa. And while many of us have stopped watching cartoons and stopped animation, you continued throughout your adolescence. And you've continued to watch, and now you've changed your own life through setting up your own comic book called Ikwezi. So tell us, how is it that a young man from Egcuwa ended up being a lead illustrator for a well-known comic book?
Well, I think it starts obviously from a very young age. You're called an artist before you know what that word even means. And that was the case, at least for me in my life. I obviously exhibited the talent at a very young age, around 5. And so luckily for me, back in the Eastern Cape, Egcuwa, I had very supportive parents that facilitated this talent and exposed me to the arts at a very young age. That was obviously very important because then those formative years then informed my interest going forward from high school, varsity, and then obviously into the professional realm. I think, as an artist, you're very persistent because this is what you do, this is your passion, and it was indeed a passion of mine. And it landed me a job while I was doing my second year in graphic designing at CPUT.
So before we go too deeply into that, just talk us through your upbringing. Just sketch us the picture.
Upbringing was a typical, middle class black South African family. Egcuwa in the Eastern Cape, formerly known as the Transkei. Very small town, very intimate small town. You know everybody and everyone knows you. And that was the case for a very long time until I went to high school, which was in Queenstown. I studied at Queen's College, boys' high school. And then during this time, I was the class artist.
Oh,
okay,
wow.
and you, as a class artist, you're always drawing pictures for your friends, and they give you money for a little drawing of Bugs Bunny, etc., etc. And obviously, sometimes, as is always the case, drawing in the back of your textbooks, getting into trouble with your teachers, with your parents, because you're doing this, because it just comes so naturally to you. You sort of extend it to whatever surface that you can because you're constantly expressing this creative spirit that you've got inside of you.
So now, briefly, just talk us through the school, the kind of tertiary education part. Did you do a formal kind of animation kind of qualification? And how did you end up at Super Striker?
Okay. Well, there's simple way of putting it is that I didn't study for being a comic book illustrator. Unfortunately, we don't have courses on that. Neither did I study for fine arts, which is what I also do. There are schools for that, but I didn't study that. I studied graphic designing at Cape Peninsula University of Technology. I got my diploma through that. And while I was studying, there was just a time where a good friend of mine just alluded to me that there is Super Striker offices in Cape Town.
Yeah.
So obviously I had a wealth of drawings, files and files, and I went off to their studios, showed them my work, and the next day I had a job.
Wow. So then take us through the journey of challenges and opportunities. So you've now kind of gained these skills. But what have been the most difficult things for you to overcome?
Well, I think, there's definitely bound to be struggles, especially in the creative, field or business side. Because there is, for my business particularly, it's a very small industry in South Africa. And so the opportunities for that need to be met with skills. So your skills have to supersede whatever lack of opportunities there are, so that should the availability of an opportunity or a job arise, you can meet it immediately with the skills that you've acquired before. So it's very important to obviously go to school and harness your talent. And then on top of that, it's also your own initiative.
Yeah.
I think it's very important to have an initiative towards your given craft. And the struggles therein just exist with the fact that you have to get yourself out there. It's exposure.
Now, Loyiso, talk me to, I'm really excited about this. You've now releasing your own comic book.
Yeah.
And you're about to really take it national. And, talk me through about this journey. How did it come about? What has been the joy that you've actually enjoyed by doing this? The Ekwezi comic book.
Well, like I said earlier on, in my formative years when I was, a kid, I was obviously exposed to a lot of stuff, and one of these things were comic books. I was big on superhero comic books, your Spider-Man, your Superman, X-Men, Batman, all of those characters from the West. And I always wondered what a superhero that looked like me and spoke like me and shared the same
That's
environment.
dynamic, yeah.
So, and from a very young age, that was a sentiment that I had, and I always expected someone to do it eventually. Luckily for me, no one did. So I was lucky enough, having acquired the skills over at Striker Entertainment doing the Super Striker comic book. I had the necessary skills and understanding of the business to, again, initiative, go at it by myself and create a South African superhero.
Yeah.
And it's been quite an exciting journey.
Yeah. Now, in terms of this now, you're now looking forward for an entrepreneurial journey, a very different experience, your own kind of shop. What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to expanding what I do because, again, understanding the business, having worked for 7 years now, I understand now that there's another aspect to it, which is, corporate communications, supply, as part of your service in your business is to create illustration-based solutions to companies. And these could be, broad companies, could be brands, and it's really so broad. You start to understand that being able to create characters and draw is not necessarily something that sits only in your studio, but could be a commercially viable business. Yeah. But to understand that, you need to have gone through and then worked for companies that are already established to know what the possibilities are.
All right, so I think I would love to talk more about this, but quickly, last point, what would you say to young creatives and young talented artists out there who want to follow your journey? What would be your inspiration to them?
First of all, harness your craft. Be very good at it. Be very, very good at it. Be very serious about being the best at your craft, because that gives you enough courage that you will need to go about doing business, because you have to have the nerve to say that I'm going to create a South African superhero. Wow. So once you get that and study and obviously supplement, build a body around what you do enough to convince yourself and other people that you'll be doing business with that your work is credible, it's of an international standard, and
Thanks, Loyiso. Wow, how dynamic. From the dusty streets of Ecuador and now a world-class comic and illustrator. After the break, we learn more about the creative industry and how you can start your own creative business. See you after the break. Welcome back. Before the break, we got to meet Loyiso Mkhize, creative entrepreneur, illustrator, and the owner of Ekwezi Comics. Loyiso shared with us his story coming from Ecuador and now being the owner of world-class Ekwezi Comics. Joining us right now is Eugene Newman, a business development facilitator at the Cape Craft and Design Institute. The CCDI works with creative entrepreneurs. They offer short courses that range from how to cost out your production to how to access markets. Just to name a few of these services, so they will be providing information and guidelines for you so that you can develop your own creative business and potentially be a comic book owner like Loyiso. Eugene, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Just quickly tell us, how does one get started in the creative industry?
Well, I think people normally are creative. and they then think of doing a business. Sometimes it becomes a hobby, from a hobby to a business. Sometimes they want to make money and they would dive in straight into the business. A business basically is a business. Creativity is just one form of a business. Okay. So if they want to get involved within the creative industry and the creative businesses, they would need to still follow business guidelines.
Okay. So tell me, what then makes it viable for them to get in? So, because I know we've got a lot of very creative people. I mean, if you can imagine Loyiso here, what makes it viable? How do you know you've got a viable business opportunity?
It depends what your vision is. So some people start a creative business because they want to bring art into the world, they want to show beautiful art, and the money is maybe not their motivation. Some people get into creative businesses because they want to make money, okay, while still doing something that they're passionate about. Now, you're talking about viability, and that goes hand in hand with success. But what is your definition of success? So my success, and my definition of success, might not be the same as your definition of success. So it depends what the ultimate goal is, and how successful they are in reaching that goal. But they still need to be, of course, making money in order to cover all the expenses. It's quite difficult to give you a number because everybody's expenses
has got a different thing.
Exactly.
So then just make me understand a little bit better than the role that CCDI and your particular position in there. How do you assist in facilitating that?
Okay. So we have a lot of creative businesses, visual artists and people that make products. We normally ask them to start with the end in mind. What is the vision for their business? Okay. Because if you don't know where you want to be, you're not going to be sure how you're going to get there. Yeah. You need a path. So we assist them by formulating a business vision for themselves. Once they have that vision, we will then start building on that and start mapping out how the business is going to look, how the business is going to run. We will help them with the costing and the pricing of their product, which is quite difficult for a creative because they're so passionate about their products. Yeah. And when you need to tell them, like, look, your product is not really going to be making money for you to be viable, it's quite difficult for them to give it up. Yeah. And then what we then would do is, how do they then take this message of this business and this product, and how do they tell the potential target market about that? So we do a bit of integrated marketing as well. All right. So that they can get the message across to their customers.
Okay. So now going into the space that Loyiso is in terms of the comic animation, what are the risks in that particular aspect of the creative industry? What are the risks that typically any creative illustrator can face when they start their own business?
Well, the biggest risk is, of course, failure.
Yeah.
Not making enough money. Not getting your work out there. Yeah. That's the biggest risk. Look, some people, people start businesses for different reasons. Some people are unemployed and they need to make money. Yeah. Some people got nothing to do and they need to, they got a hobby and they would like
to draw.
They can draw, yeah. And some people would like just to start a business and make lots of money, for themselves. Yeah. So with Loyiso, the risk involved is that he might not have the not the patience, I would say, but he wouldn't have the stamina to continue, especially when it comes to creativity, to continue pushing his brand before he needs to really start making money.
So then let's talk about target markets. Maybe this is a good time to bring you into this conversation as well, Loyiso. What typically is a target market or target audience that then buys? I mean, is it the direct consumer or is it a distributor? Who is the direct audience that typically you would target for your creative product?
Well, particularly with my product, Ukwezi, you would be looking at kids between the ages of 8 to 18 or 21, so that demographic, and it's quite wide, but it also does, my business and how I've developed this was to answer a certain call for a South African superhero. So immediately there was a gap in the market that needed to be filled. So it's seeing those gaps in the markets and sort of like creatively finding your own niche there. That was particularly for me.
But who pays for it? So is it the end consumer or is it the distributor? So how does it all work? Is it like music? I mean, you know?
Well, it depends. I mean, for me personally, this project has been self-funded
Okay.
and self-published for the first 2 years.
Okay.
But now, currently, I've started working with publishers as well. It alleviates a lot more.
Yes,
It leaves a bit more room creatively for me to work,
Great.
and then consistently make the work, and then have someone delegate someone else to handle the
Okay.
distribution, marketing, etc.
Okay. So then how do we bring all these entities together? The Cape Craft and Design Institute, the creatives, how you guys support providing that linkages of support? And how can people get a hold of you?
Okay. So the easiest way, of course, is online.
Yeah.
You know, to get all of us online and then register as a member of the Cape Craft and Design Institute, which is free, of course. How we assist the creatives is by giving them access to market. So the CCDI has 3 major programs. I work within business training, so I train them how to manage and run their business.
Yeah.
We do creativity training as well. But we also have market access, be it domestic, be it national, be it international. We can assist with that as well. And what is very unique with CCDI that you do not find in a lot of other business programs is that we have a product support space.
Well,
From a hammer to a screwdriver
to a pencil.
to a pencil to a 3D printer.
3D printer.
Yeah, to a laser cutter. So an illustration can, for instance, be scanned, laser cut out, and be made a physical product.
Yeah.
Instead of
So maybe
putting
that's the next part for you, Louis.
It should be,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So what's the website?
It's www.ccdi.org.za.
www.ccdi.org.za.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eugene. That was Eugene Newman from the Cape Craft and Design Institute, telling us more about how you can overcome your challenges of getting started in the creative industries. So thank you both, gents. Thanks, Eugene. Thanks, Loyiso, for being part of the show this evening. And as we go into break now, we'll be talking more about some of the lessons that Loyiso has taught us about how to get started in the creative industries and how we can get motivated to start our own business. Welcome back. And if you're only joining us now, you've missed a great deal of knowledge shared by our guests. Earlier on in the show, we're joined by Eugene and Loyiso, who shared with us how you can get started in the creative industries. But quickly, let's recap. In terms of what we've all learned, from Loyiso, what we heard first of all was that it's important to believe in your talent and to believe in yourself and not to hold anything back. Primarily, what took Loyiso from Egcuwa to now owning his own comic book company, Ikwezi, is his ability to take his talents and turn them into a profit. He also spoke to us about the importance of family and how his parents were supportive of his creative talent and allowed him the space to get going and get started with his business. Right now, he also mentioned to us the importance of building a strong career path, learning your trade and perfecting your craft, to where now still as a young man, he's able to now get started in his own business because he has better knowledge and better know-how. From Eugene, we learned quite a bit. Through organizations like the Cape Craft and Design Institute, one is able to find the kind of support that one is able to apply to the industry and sector that they are busy exploring. Through them, you are able to also get support directly with getting your product ready for market and overcoming some of the risks and challenges aligned to business failure. We also learned that the Cape Craft and Design Institute is an organization here in the Western Cape that is there for the people of the Western Cape to gain insight into how they can enter the creative industries. So if you are a talented young person with a creative talent, go out and go and find their website or watch back the show so that you can then go back and get started with unlocking your talent. Funding is something that's readily available, and there are a lot of support organizations like the Cape Craft and Design, as we'll soon explore, in many different industries, regardless of the industry that one is getting started in. One of the critical things that we also learned is that it's not easy to start a business. So have your end in mind and know what your vision is. We learned this from Eugene, and really specifically around how you can define that and make that a reality. Again, I'm incredibly inspired by the story of Loyiso in terms of the dynamism of what he's trying to do to change the face of comic book illustration in South Africa, where the narrative and the stories really go back down to what connects and resonates with people who live in this country without having the need to go outside of the country to go and find their creative talent. So this, for me, is a turning point. To wrap up the show, I would like to now think about how else can we get motivated to get started in our business. And this evening, we've selected a quote for you that hopefully will connect with that. The quote is, "Nothing is more important than a missed opportunity." Let me unpack this a little bit for you. Okay? Opportunities are like bus stops. The difference primarily is that if you're trying to chase a bus, you're never going to get to the point where you meet it at the bus stop. Right now, there's an opportunity in which anyone can start a business in South Africa and make a great success of themselves. Follow your dreams and work on things that align directly with your talents. Focus on nurturing your talent. And like a bus stop, wait for the opportunity to come, but be ready for when the opportunity comes. Well, that's it for this evening. Join us again next week as we profile yet another successful entrepreneur setting the trend in their industry and changing lives through their business. And remember, there's nothing more important than a missed opportunity. Hit us up on social media and find me on Twitter. My handle is @VuisaQ. Thank you and good night.